Now for the Racing for Heroes radio show with host Brett Morash on 1460 WVOX.
And it's Brett Morash. Super excited to be here today. And we're going to have some amazing folks on the show today. The first is going to be Elana Duffy, who is a veteran of the U.S. Army. And Elana will be on here momentarily. And then our second guest is Cheryl Mason from the Veterans Administration, who is chairman of the Board of Veterans Appeals. And Alex, just checking in, is Elana on the line?
Hi, Brett.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
I can.
Great, thanks so much. And sorry about we're actually working remote from Racing for Heroes headquarters down in Virginia today. So this is sort of our steer show, and we get to show everyone what it's like working on military radios. So, Elana, let me just give a quick bio. So, I know that you served in the military. You started with the 18th Airborne Corps. You did military intelligence with the 66th Brigade and the 525th, and then you worked at a secret squirrel organization for a little while, which we can't really discuss further on the radio. And then you were injured in combat, and then you're now transitioned to being a veteran and medically retired, and you are CEO of Pathfinder. So thank you for being on the show.
Thank you, and it's great to be here and to talk to you for a little bit and, get the word out about Race for Heroes and everything that you guys are doing.
Yeah, well, listen, it takes a village, and that's why we have you here, because, what you're doing at Pathfinder makes a difference in the world as well. So, but let's start with, a Jewish kid from New Jersey joins the military. Go.
Yeah, not super common. Ran into zero other ones. But it was all because I really wanted to be an astronaut, quite frankly. And I went to engineering school and all of those things, and then ended up an actual engineer and was staring at blueprints and bored out of my mind. So called a recruiter that afternoon and enlisted with military intelligence.
Gotcha. And then you went. Where'd you go to training for that? I don't even know where MI does their stuff in the Army.
Oh, so after basic training at Fort Jackson, sometimes known as Relaxin' Jackson, it's a lovely place, except in the months where I was there, where it was just hot and muggy. But
the Jetta Center.
Yeah. And then went out to Fort Huachuca in Arizona, real far south, about an hour south of Tucson.
Right. I've actually been there, believe it or not. It's hot. It's like living in a hairdryer is the way I describe it.
Yeah.
So
I got to spend a couple of summers there. It was great.
Oh, yeah. Of course. Well, it prepared you for your deployment, so off you go to get your combat patches. So post 9/11. So what happened?
So I showed up at my unit at Fort Bragg, and they pretty much said, "Don't unpack. We're leaving for Afghanistan in about a month or two." And so went to Afghanistan for about 6 months, and let me tell you, driving Toyota Hiluxes and like crazy pickup trucks and stuff like that through the canyons out in rural Afghanistan is just, it's an adventure, but you learn how to change a tire real quick.
No, in fact, here at Racing for Heroes, that's a lot of the training that they do here for groups. It does that sort of stuff. Like, in fact, they were doing yesterday welding with 24-volt systems using the power off the car. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen. And, of course, as we know, like the terrorist organizations use Hiluxes and Land Cruisers. So, certainly we know that they're combat-effective vehicles. So I appreciate that. Yeah, that's a good plug for Toyota. So buy a Hilux. Combat proven. So, but you were actually injured in more than one IED blast, though, right? I mean, most people, one's enough. You decided to go around for round two. So tell us about what happened.
Well, so the first incident so we got back from Afghanistan, and our in brief was I still couldn't unpack because we were leaving for Iraq pretty soon after.
Yeah.
And I don't think I ever unpacked at Fort Bragg. And we the first incident was actually, it was a car accident. We thought it was a suicide bomber. It turned out to just be very poor driving. And we were in a massive car accident and we were just in an add-on armor, top-heavy, up-armored 998.
Which is a Humvee for those of you who don't know. So.
Yeah. The older school versions, and they basically just threw extra armor on, so you can't make super sharp turns or they'll roll over.
Right. As Rumsfeld described this, it's the military you go to war with, I think, is the quote he used for those particular Humvees. So thank you, Secretary Rumsfeld. Yeah.
100% exactly. So that in that incident, there used to be a little welded piece of metal behind the driver's seat and the front passenger seat. What they called it an M16 mount. I have no idea who would put a rifle pointing at the ceiling in these mounts, but a piece of metal was there, and when I got thrown forward in the accident, my bootlace got caught around it. Tore some tendons, chipped a piece out of the bone, but suck it up and drive on, as is the unofficial
800 milligram
motto.
Right.
Yeah. I think I could take 2 at one time, which my liver very much appreciated. And
no, little known fact, Motrin is not metabolized in the liver; it's in the kidneys.
Well.
That's good to know if you're a fleet sailor. So trust me.
Yeah. But
I digress.
So I took but I digress. So I took my Motrin, and a week or two later, back on the road in another part of the country, and I had just presented a report on where some explosives were going to be along route, one of the main military supply routes.
Sure. And
because that's what I did. I was MI. Bad guys with the bombs, theoretically, before the bombs go off. Well, they found 2 of the 3 that I had given coordinates for, and then the third one found us first.
Oh, boy,
so I got blown up that day.
Oh boy.
It was a great time to be in Iraq. So that caused a severe traumatic brain injury, and which comes with balance issues and cognitive issues and so forth. So that just pervaded for years and years and years, and finally, when I started getting stuff taken care of, the traumatic brain injury led to neurosurgery when they finally were studying brain injuries about 2 years later.
Oh,
and, So by then, pretty much everything was permanent. My brain was a little on the scrambled side, so I still had no balance and so forth, and none of that was going to get rewired, so I just had to adapt, and eventually it all caught up to me, because a couple of years after that, they were like, oh, wait, what are you still doing here? Oh, well, nobody told me to go home, and so they told me to go home.
And then let's fast forward, because I know, and we're kind of running low on time, because I still want to talk about Pathfinder. You actually had your leg amputated, or a portion of it, last year, right? But you're still rock climbing.
I did. Yeah. So after all of that, the pain was still every day and so forth. So eventually a doctor was like, you know what, the only way to really get rid of this is to get rid of the leg. And that was really the best thing. And I'm telling you, like 5 months later, I was able to convince them to procure me a rock climbing foot and start rock climbing again because...
Well, you are a braver human than I am, Elana. God bless you. So, but listen, you're a super entrepreneur, and obviously I always think of you as veteran royalty of New York City, sort of the Duchess of veteranness in the city. So I'm going to tell Kristen Rouse that, too. She'll get mad that's not her title. But, yeah. I'm going to send this to her later. But tell us about Pathfinder. What are you doing? So
I was encountering a whole lot of challenges and figuring out where I belonged and what was the best path for me. And in terms of veteran transition and military transition, and I was trying to find things and said, why isn't this all on this great series of tubes that we call the internet? Right. So that's what I decided to ultimately do. We created a database of thousands of different organizations and services and VA hospitals and other resources. And then we use artificial intelligence technology to help people figure out what's the best resource for them.
That's amazing. And can anyone log in and do this? I mean, Brett Morash, when he's done with this call, I mean, tell me about it.
You certainly can. You can go to pathfinder.vet or pathfinderlabs.com. They both go to the same place. Okay. And you can put in search terms. You can search by state. You can search national organizations and find what you would like to find what you think is best for you right now. And then as you contribute feedback to different organizations, not only do we make sure that they get that feedback, but we also use that to help try and figure out what might be good for you to try next.
That's amazing. Oh, that's even better, right? Because then you can kind of, it almost helps you with your coordinated services, which is just incredible application. And that's, and you said it was marine proof, right? So it's like pathfinder.vet or pathfinder.com goes to the same place.
Pathfinderlabs.com.
Oh, Pathfinder Labs.
Pathfinder.com probably brings you to another car, actually.
Gotcha. So pathfinderlabs.com, I'm sorry, path.vet, and then the other one is
Pathfinder.vet, pathfinderlabs.com.
I gotcha. Okay. Well, and listen, Elana, as always, I'm super proud to have you as a friend, and I really think that you're an inspiration to any person wanting to join the military, especially young ladies out there that are looking for a hero. So thank you for all you do.
Well, right back at you, and I will take you rock climbing one day, I swear.
I used to go rock climbing, and a quick sea story. I used to go rock climbing until I was probably about 24, and I was doing some free climbing, and I started to go down the cliff face, and I grabbed that little scraggly, like, Wile E. Coyote tree that was sticking out from the side, and it prevented me from falling to my death, and I figured that was it. So, yeah. So you know that tree. So, all right. Well, thank you again, Elana. I appreciate it, and I think our next guest is on the line.
All right, my friend. You take care.
All right. Thanks so much. And Alex, back in the studio, is Chairman Mason on?
Yes, I am.
Oh, great. Hey, well, first of all, I just want to thank you, and just a quick bio. Chairman Cheryl Mason is with the Veterans Administration, and her title is Chairman Board of Veteran Appeals. And as I like to think, the Chairman of the board, I always think of Frank Sinatra, but Cheryl, you're certainly at that same level within the VA of like kind of the Frank Sinatra of the VA. So thank you for all of what you do with the Board of Veteran Appeals.
Sure, except I can't sing, so don't don't ask.
Everyone can sing karaoke just a little bit. So. For another show, we'll talk about that. So, Chairman Mason, tell us about what the VA Board of Veteran Appeals is, because I don't think a lot of people understand how the process goes, and you kind of being the adjudicating body, sort of for the end game for a VA disability claim. So,
sure.
Volley to you.
So the board is the final tribunal within the department to decide appeals from Veterans Benefits Administration, Veterans Health Administration, National Cemetery Administration, as well as from General Counsel. Are you there?
Yeah, I am. I didn't realize it was the cemeteries as well. What would be an example of something like that?
Usually has to do with a burial dispute or a money situation, about a payment, what level of payment.
I see.
Yeah,
I see.
And so we decide appeals on behalf of the Secretary. So the Secretary appoints the Veterans Law judges, and then the President approves them. And they decide appeals and hold hearings. That's our mission, hearings and deciding appeals for veterans, so that veterans get the benefits they've earned and services.
No, that's amazing. And I think we talked on the phone earlier. I actually have gone through that appeal process myself, and I really found it to be, a couple things. One, very cathartic. I thought the administrative judge that was there was just super gracious, listened to my story, was very empathetic, and I just thought that from a process perspective, it just really worked out. And so thank you for leading that organization. So thank you.
Well, that's great. I mean, our judges, I've been a judge for 16 years. I still hold the title of judge as well as chairman. And our judges are really trained to help the veteran, whether it's reading the decision or in the hearing. Reading through the case file or in the hearing is really to help the veteran get to where they need the information they need to support their appeal if possible. And that's really, we're a paternalistic agency. We take care of our veterans and our family members.
And do veterans need to have a lawyer for this process?
Some veterans do. There are lawyers private representatives who do the work in front of the board. But there are also a large cadre of veteran service organizations, and all of your veteran service organizations, as well as your state or county veteran service organizations, are the people who are the best people to help you.
Oh, outstanding. No, and I think that's really important. I think I'd mentioned in my case I did it all myself, but I know Wounded Warrior Project, for example, was more than willing to help. So and I think that's important for our veteran listeners to understand that this process is designed to be user friendly, if you will, for the veterans. And how many administrative judges are there, Chairman? There
are 100 veterans law judges currently, and we have about 850 attorneys who write for those, who support those judges, and then we have another 200 operation and administrative staff who are really the glue that make us get our job done. We can't. Any organization is only as good as their people, and we have a lot of fantastic, amazing people at the board.
Well, that's incredible, and it sounds. I mean, you're basically in charge of a U.S. Navy aircraft carrier-size crew there, so that's quite an impressive organization.
Yeah, it's about 1,200 people. Sometimes I talk about turning the ship, and it's not an easy task, but we get it done.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And so how did you get into this? I mean, it seems like, kind of the origin story matters. As I like to say, Peter Parker, could have been a wrestler, but, he ended up becoming, Spider-Man, right? So tell us the origin story. How'd you get there?
Well, my origin story is different. So I am the daughter of a World War II Navy veteran who died by suicide when I was 4.
Oh, boy.
And
oh, my gosh.
So, VA was there for me and my mom. I was raised by a single mom in southern Ohio when that was not typical, and it was economically challenged, and quite frankly, I wouldn't be where I am today. And I really felt the desire to make a difference, which I ended up in law school, but I also have a psychology degree and political science undergraduate. And I really wanted to find something that I could give back and make a difference to veterans. When I went to college, of course, I met my husband, who was an Air Force ROTC candidate, and he's a veteran now, and so it just seemed natural that my first foray into my legal career was the VA, and I left for a little bit, but I always came back because that's where I belong, because we make a difference every day, and that's what I want to do, and that's why I'm where I am.
Oh, yeah, and when you were, first of all, your mom sounds like an incredible person, so, bravo Zulu to her from a Navy guy. And then, my wife was married to me for 16 of my 20 years in service. So, being a military spouse, I know you were kind of dragged around quite a bit. How did that work on your license, by the way, for your law bar?
Well, I held a license from Nebraska, and I practice in the federal government. But that's one of the unique things about the federal government is if you're a lawyer in the federal government, your state license is covered. You don't need another state license. But, that's not the case for many of my colleague military spouses who do private practice. So I'm part of the Military Spouse JD Network, which leadership there has really led the licensing reciprocity process, and it's going extremely well. I think it's up to 40 states. But
that's incredible.
The challenge was changing law schools after my first year, and then leaving VA and moving to Germany, where they didn't know what to do with a GS-13 attorney. So I couldn't get a job.
No, I can imagine that would be, kind of a square peg in a round hole kind of question for them. And your husband, he served in the Air Force. I think, did you say he was military intelligence? Was his specialty? He
was communications, intelligence, a little bit of both.
Gotcha. Okay, so yeah, in fact, I think you'd said that he's been a nice transition from active duty to being a civilian now. So I think that's fantastic.
Yep, very supportive. One of my children knows what it's like to live on the military base, kind of. The other one just has only seen the commissary.
Oh, gotcha. Well, my kids were really young. They remember being in Japan, and they remember going to see the Great Buddha and eating sweet potato ice cream. So it's they were really little. But so one last thing. So if you do want to do an administrative, if you want to appeal, and is the process pretty straightforward though? You can go on My VA, and is that how you get the process rolling?
Yes. You always start your claim with, generally veterans benefits are where most veterans start their claims. We have just recently revised, about 2 years ago, to the appeals modernization process, which revised the process, streamlined it. So you start with Veterans Benefits Administration. If you don't like that decision, you have a couple of options there for decision reviews at the lower level, and then you can come to the board if you still disagree with the outcome. And then you file paperwork, or working on electronic filing. That's my new mission.
That's incredible. No. Listen, I think that's amazing, and it's so much different when I applied initially. I think it was 6 years ago, and that process just took a number of years to kind of play itself out. So, again, thank you for all you do and your team. But one thing, Chairman Mason, this is a Racing for Heroes show, so we do have to ask an automotive question. And I know that you had a dream, I believe, of being in the Demolition Derby. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm a Southern Ohio girl. Fair time. I spent my Friday, Saturday nights under the lights watching Demolition. But, I inherited my father's lead foot. He used to take me for rides. Those are my favorite memories of blowing out the carburetor in the convertible on the back roads of Southern Ohio. So I have been known when we had a Cadillac the Cadillac really hugged the road very well to maybe go out on the back roads a bit and enjoy my driving.
That's amazing.
I do enjoy driving. I aspire to get on a track sometime and drive, but my family is very scared of that possibility.
Well, listen, Chairman Mason, you are invited down to Danville this weekend, though. We are having charity laps with a pace car, so you can only go so fast. Although if you still have that Cadillac, I'm assuming it goes above 120 on the speedometer.
Yeah, unfortunately, Cadillacs, not passing judgment, but they don't seem to last as long as some of the other cars we have. So,
well, what are you driving now?
We have one Chevy that's 20 years old and 3 Fords, so I could be driving any of those.
That's amazing. Good for you. That's good for you. And I think that there's probably some smiles in the back over here at Racing for Heroes headquarters about your choice of American muscle. So I think that's amazing.
Yeah, I'm working on trying to get my husband to get me a convertible, but I haven't been successful yet. But one of these days I might just bring one home.
Well, you're the chairman of the board. I mean, what would Frank Sinatra do? He would just go get it.
He would, yes. But, I got to get that second kid out of college first.
Oh, that's true. Fair enough. All right. Well, listen, Chairman, we are getting to the end of our show, so I want to thank you for being on and all your good work. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me. And I must say I very much enjoyed Elena's interview. It's people like Elana and other veterans and military family members that inspire me to do what I do every day. So thank you for what you do, and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
All the best, and thanks again. And for our Racing for Heroes fans, as we kind of wrap up the December show, we are having our major fundraiser for the end of the year. It's COVID-19 responsible. You can go to our website, www.racingforheroes.org, and take a look at charity laps. You get an opportunity to drive on the race car. Drive on the track, on the racetrack, on the southern course for about 3 laps behind the pace car. And so it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have Jimmy Sprecher is going to be bringing his drag car. So if you want to have a shot at doing that, that's what that is, too. So without further ado, Alex, I think we're going to go right into our Race for Heroes theme song a little further down the road by the real Doug Lane. So thank you.
I got a dream to chase, and it just won't wait, just a little farther down the road. A little farther down